John Decker standing by, who, by the way, is our legal expert with Fox News. And do you ever spend any time in family court, John?
No, I did not spend any time in family court. That's not my specialty. I just heard you mention that you have a family court issue, and I can't help you out there. I'm very sorry about
Darn it. I thought we
He's
had
like,
the man.
not if I can avoid it.
But when it comes to President Trump, when it comes to White House affairs, when it comes to the Democrats petitioning the IRS to deliver the tax forms of President Trump, the IRS decided it's not going to do it. And where do we stand? You predicted this was going to happen, right?
I did predict this, and I also predicted, you may recall, the way this is all going to end up.
Yes.
The way it's going to end up is the White House is ultimately going to lose on its fight concerning this issue of the president's tax returns. And as a result, the IRS will be forced to turn over the president's tax returns to the House Ways and Means Committee chairman. So what we heard yesterday is that they will make a final decision, they being the Treasury Department and the IRS will make a final decision on this request by May the 6th. So we'll have a better idea about the legal rationale for denying this request from House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Richard Neal in just a few weeks. So we'll follow it very closely. But you also get the idea that the White House is going to be fighting tooth and nail with Congress on a number of fronts, including these subpoenas that have been issued for a number of current and former White House officials.
What is your take? And you have people on the left saying investigate, get as much information as you can, subpoena this, subpoena that. We should see his financial records. People on the right, though, are saying enough is enough. You've investigated enough. It's to the point of harassment. Where do you fall in line? Is Nancy Pelosi and are the Democrats, are they doing the right thing here?
Well, they are exercising their oversight responsibility. Are they going too far? As you mentioned, Republicans believe they are. But this is, I've said this before, but this is the effect of elections. Elections have consequences. The president lost the House of Representatives, and if he had not lost the House and Republicans still controlled the House of Representatives, he wouldn't be having to deal with so many of these particular investigations and subpoenas and all of this stuff. That's why the president's going to be working awfully hard, not only to win himself a second term, but to win back the House for Republicans.
Yeah. That impeachment talk, we talked to a Democratic strategist earlier today who thinks that they should go down the road of impeachment. But, boy, that did not work out well for Republicans during the Clinton years.
Well, it did not. It came back to bite them. And, I think that what it actually did was it actually, believe it or not, increased the popularity of Bill Clinton during the 90s. And I covered impeachment start to finish from here at the White House. So that's the lesson that Lindsey Graham, who, by the way, in the 90s was an impeachment manager of Bill Clinton. So he has some pretty good experience on these things. He has advised Democrats to cool it, to move on because of the experience that he and Republicans had in the 1990s.
And I asked you a question yesterday. I want to change the question slightly, reform the question.
Sure.
So, and you explained that while the president might say, no, I'm not going to do it, agencies, federal agencies like the IRS are not going to ignore a court order. They're going to follow through. And if ultimately the Supreme Court, let's say it goes to the Supreme Court and would rule that these documents need to be turned over, the IRS would do it. What happens if the president says, I'm the president of the United States, I am ordering you not to turn those documents over? I would assume the Supreme Court wins out. Does it create a legal case? Does the president have any executive power there?
No, he doesn't. So let's just talk about that, because what you're talking about essentially is a constitutional collision or constitutional crisis. This is what typically happens, and this happened during Watergate. Let's go all the way back to the 1970s. If there is an order that is an illegal order or an unconstitutional order given by the president, the person who follows that order would be breaking the law. And so as a result, if the courts ultimately rule that the Treasury Secretary, Stephen Mnuchin, has to turn over the president's tax returns to Richard Neal, Mr. Mnuchin has to follow through. Otherwise, he'd be violating the law, and he could be held in contempt of court. And so that is problematic. You don't want to be held in violation of federal law.
John Decker, I feel like you're sitting in a candy store these days with all of this legal stuff. It's right up your alley, and we love having you on. We really appreciate it.
Oh, I love talking about it, and it's great being on your show talking about it every day. So
right.
Feel free to call me anytime.
All right, John. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Excuse me, John Decker from Fox News. He said call him direct, so there you go. The guy knows his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And covered the Clinton impeachment, which is really something.